said he planted the seed in the paper, he said.
Okay. Did you get money? Hello everyone. Hello. Who's going to go first?
Gregor, now that you've had time to reflect on the World Cup, what are the lessons you've learned from that you think you can apply in this championship?
Well, look, there's lessons that are relevant to a World Cup, and whoever's coaching the team in 4 years, certainly the information that and what we took out of our review will be relevant for that. There's obviously a lot of relevance and the players that we worked with that will help the team play to its best. Relevance in how we coached and what we need to do differently. But a lot of it is also game specific. Whether that's the Ireland game when we didn't perform anywhere near our best, or the Samoa game where we performed very well. But it all goes in the mix. It goes in the mix of having 3.5 months to think about it and to plan and make sure that the Six Nations we play closer to our potential. That's a goal of us as coaches and also the players.
Yeah, do you feel like this one is probably the most important Six Nations for Scotland?
No, everyone is the next. Look, your next game is your most important game. We feel very privileged to be involved and represent our countries and the biggest rugby tournament, biggest annual rugby tournament. So you give your best, whether you're a player on the training field in your preparation or a coach, and that would be the same every tournament you play in.
Stuart, what do you think you can bring to this side this year?
Much the same as I always bring. I think for me, I'm very much looking forward to the role as captain. It's a huge honour to lead this team. A huge amount of confidence, from Gregor to pick me in this role. But for me, I'm looking to do my normal job. I'm looking to express myself and have some fun and make sure that every player we've got within the squad plays to their full potential and plays with confidence. We're an ambitious side. We want to play wide, expansive rugby. We want to play quick rugby. And we want to make sure that everybody's having fun along the way as well. So we're very much looking forward to it.
Stuart, how much of a role have you got to play in making the 6 and cap boys sort of feel at home and get them up to speed and expressing themselves?
Yeah, that's the culture that we've created. Boys are welcome with open arms. They are there for a reason. They're good enough to be international rugby players. They're on form. And they're bringing a lot of energy and enthusiasm to the camp, and that's what we love to see. There is a lot of learning to be done. That's on everybody, and we're trying to coach these younger boys through as well. But the good thing is they're asking questions at the right time and they're willing to learn. And as I say, they're there for a reason, and I'm excited to see how good they can be throughout the Six Nations.
Gregor, Eddie Jones said a couple of days ago that he was concerned about the refereeing and the whole concept of the game being slowed down. Do you share those concerns?
I didn't notice the concerns. I think the game we've all got duties to make sure the game that is put out there, whether it's through referees, through us as coaches and players, is a great product, and I think it has been over the last few years. And the most recent example of that is the World Cup. Some of the games in the World Cup were fantastic adverts for the skill level, the physical conditioning, the rugby on show to the tries that are scored, and we've seen that over the last few years in Six Nations. Now, I think the last game of the last Six Nations was not a bad one for the supporters to watch. England, Scotland at Twickenham. They're not always going to be like that, and referees have a job to make sure they apply the laws and they have empathy for the game to make sure it's a game that isn't too much stoppages. But just like as coaches and players, we have to do our jobs. Referees know they have to do that too.
Gregor, there are 4 new coaches in the competition, in Andy Wayne, How have you come up against them before, and what do you expect from sort of bring each of them down?
Yes, obviously came up against Andy as defence coach for Ireland over the last few years, and he's been with British and Irish Lions, so he's an excellent coach, and he's been part of the Ireland team and knows Ireland players very well. Wayne coached against him with Scarlets in Glasgow. I think the Scarlets produced an excellent brand of rugby, which was a lot about the decision making of the players, working to play off quick ball, working to get the ball back in defence, and obviously went on and won the Pro 14 or Pro 12 that year. Franco, I know very well. We coached against each other, Glasgow and Treviso. We've kept in contact over the last few years. He'd already coached at international level. I think he did maybe 2 years with the Springboks, so it's great to see him involved in the Six Nations. Fabian, I played against him. I don't think I've coached against him, but I was his half-back partner in his last ever game of rugby. So he reminds me about that all the time. I remind him about the dodgy passes he gave me that day. French Barbarians against Australia. And he's a coach that's got a lot of experience. We're chatting earlier about when I was assistant coach with Scotland, he was doing consultancy work with Argentina on a tour out there maybe 8-9 years ago. Coached at Montpellier, Toulon, and now with France. And I thought that the job the French coaching team did in the World Cup to produce that performance against Wales, although they didn't win the game, that was one of the standout performances of the tournament. So there's great coaches, great teams, great players involved in this tournament.
And what do you think about the new generation in the French team?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting for French supporters, I imagine. It's a concern for opposition teams because we are very much aware that France have performed really well at junior level. So the last two under-20s World Cups, young players that have came into the national team, like Romain Ntamak, Gregory Aldrit, the French teams themselves, the club teams are playing some excellent rugby, whether that's Toulouse, Clermont, Racing, other teams. So if they get it right, and I'm sure that's what they're working towards, they could be one of the best teams in the world again.
Have you looked on the surprise at Saracens? What's been going on down there? Obviously you've got Sean Maitland down there. What are your thoughts on that, whether it can stabilise England?
Look, I don't really know the thoughts. Obviously, it's a surprise for everyone that something like this has happened in rugby, and it's a huge change. It provides lots of commentaries and articles. We've got a few players at Saracens. Sean Maitland and Duncan Taylor were in our World Cup squad, so I imagine it's been a tough, challenging time for them over the last few weeks. But our focus is on the international group, the players we work with. Sean is part of our squad, but obviously the English Premiership hasn't really got that much relevance for us as a national team.
But for England then, do you think it will, they're coming up to you, do you think it will be a big sort of a distraction for them?
Who knows? Sometimes things like this bring a group closer together. As you saw in the second half of the weekend, the Saracens Racing game, it brought them closer together. So a lot of those players will be in the England team, and going through adversity, coming up against certain challenges, can make you stronger, or it can go the other way. We'll see over the next few weeks.
Question for both of you. I'm doing a report on the Flowers of Scotland anthem. Does it sound different with this time of Brexit, or?
Do they play it quicker, or do they play it without bagpipes? No, I don't think any of our players or supporters will think about Brexit when they're singing the anthem. It's one of the special moments you get in life, never mind sport, whether it's away from home or at home, especially at home. The way that the bagpipes introduce the song, the anthem, and then for the second verse, it's just the crowd and the players singing together. Every time you get to hear it and sing along with it, it's special. So there'll be no distraction on that.
Nailed it.
Thank you for that.
Nailed it.
Can I just ask both of you? Obviously, you played desperately close last season to an away win. Just why Why are they so difficult with this championship, and how much would it mean to actually get one of those on the board again?
They're difficult because teams are very good and teams have excellent home records. So Ireland have lost one game in the championship in the last 5 years. So that just shows you how difficult it is for any team to win away from home. Going to a place like Dublin, Twickenham, Cardiff, Paris, Rome, and ourselves, BT Murrayfield with our record at home over the last few years. You have to be at your very best. You have to stay in the fight. You can't give the opposition easy points. You can't get the crowd even more energised than it is at the first 5 minutes of a game. Home crowd will bring more noise, more energy, and the home team does feed off that. And we've got to be better. We know that. That's a key focus for us. Starting with an away game this year, even though it's a really tough challenge, is the best preparation for us to see where we are. See if we have learned over the last few years of how we can do better away from home and what we have to work on after that.
Gregor, like you said, you are in a revolution of being someone who isn't new to this year. Do you think that's an advantage for you in this game? Where you've been around your squad, you've had that experience around a lot?
No, I don't think it's an advantage. I think you're coaching the team and you do your job, and the other coaches will do the same with their job. A lot of those coaches already know international rugby. A lot of those coaches know their players well. We have also made some changes in our coaching group. We've got a new defence coach and a new scrum coach, and to me, obviously, we think that can be a positive for our team. But it's what you do over the next 6-7 weeks to show that that's the case.
Stuart, Gregor mentioned Ireland's only home defeat in 5 years. It came in the opening round last year. You've beaten then Ireland in Murrayfield, quick out the blocks. How important is that to factor into the way you approach this game in Dublin?
Yeah, it's huge for us, I think. For us to go across to Dublin and start the campaign in the best possible way, it's going to take a huge 80-minute performance. We've talked over the last couple of days of learning from our mistakes and not beating ourselves, so we need to be clinical in our attack, make sure we make the most of every opportunity we're given. We might get 3 or 4, we might get 7 or 8, we have to make the most of every single one. And defensively we have to shut them down. We can't allow the likes of Jordan Lammer or Johnny Sexton to get into the game. We have to make sure they have a quiet game as possible. But I think it's a perfect opportunity to concentrate on ourselves, make sure that we get our attack spot on, make sure we front up in defence, and enjoy the challenge. For us, there's no better feeling than winning a Scotland jersey, and we're going to be doing absolutely everything to make sure that we prepare in the best possible way, and come a week on Saturday in Dublin, we're ready to fire into them.
A few questions have been asked about the World Cup. How does the Six Nations following on from that tournament change the complexion of this championship?
I think the thing for us is, as we've touched on, is not making the same mistakes and having the ability to react well. I think you look at the France game at the start of the World Cup preparations, we didn't perform well in the first game. We had a huge reaction the week after. First game against Ireland in the World Cup, we didn't perform to anywhere near our standards, but we backed it up with a Scottish performance a week after. We scored 34 points, we got a bonus point victory, but the main thing for us, we conceded nothing. So it's a reaction on the back of tough defeats that we're looking for. But again, we can't look back too much now. We've got to look forward. We're very much in control of what happens in the future, and if we get our preparation right, we give ourselves every opportunity of winning, and to take on Ireland first up across there, huge challenge for us, but one we're very much looking forward to. Hold on.
All right.